So it's very important to balance, life, in that way, in that regard, to like be able to, in a snapshot, you know, make it accustomed to, to get accustomed to take a snapshot of your life at the moment. And I think everybody should be able to do that, is, or should do that, is pause, for a second. If you go on a vacation, be intentional, whether it's just a few days out or something. There's nothing wrong, with, let's say you take a vacation. Well, it's not really a vacation, but let's say you take time away from your family, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, and even the children, like when you go together somewhere and the children stay with someone that they can take a break from mom and dad, because a lot of times, we get so busy with life that the routine of surviving and doing life and doing family becomes very daunting. It becomes overwhelming at times, and it gets to a point where you just want to break. Like, you don't want to think about birthday parties. You don't want to think about, sometimes vacations can, there are families that they have this whole like layout and plan for a vacation versus just pick a place and go have fun, and just have whatever is going to happen that week. You're there. It could become very daunting. So it's like you need a break from a lot of things. But then when you're back into reality, per se, have a balance. You should be able to refresh, come back with a plan that basically, frees you up and lets God really in more than before, letting God in to your personal life, your personal decisions, things that you think you got. Like, you'll say, oh, I got this, but you really don't, because you make the mistake of thinking that what would be the best for people, what would be the best for yourself, based upon your feelings, versus what does the Bible say about the situation? What does God, or He has told you how He wants you to handle yourself in life, and as a husband or wife, and even teaching your children how to depend on God in that way, and how to look to God, because also we become our children's gods too, almost like when the way we act, it's like they only depend on mom and dad. You can go all the way to adulthood with that. You got people that they can't make a decision, they can't sign a paper, they can't do anything without going to mom and dad, because that's their involvement in life, is everything is mom and dad, and that's their safety net, versus really just kind of moving into a direction that is good for you and your family before God, and
that's something we actually noticed not too long ago, is that because I homeschool my children, the three kids are always with mom. And one time I had to do something, I don't know if it was an event or I had to go out for something, and dad was with the kids, and they go out to the store and they're trying to shop for something, and they're like clueless, like they don't have mommy to tell them what to do or how to do it.
Oh, right. I remember that day. Yeah, I remember that day. Yeah, I think it was like clothes or something.
He calls me like, this is ridiculous, they can't like decide for themselves, and I'm like, oh man. So even that, I had to take the initiative myself, because I'm constantly with them, to let them make choices, or let them know, listen, it's okay for you if you're out and about. You have daddy, ask him what he thinks, or, you have your own opinion, your own thoughts. You can go for it. We will still guide you because daddy was still there, kind of thing. And kind of teach them that it's okay. It doesn't always have to be mommy doing everything. No,
you have to train them, right? Like, they'll have the excuse and they'll be very vocal about, well, it's different with daddy. Daddy doesn't know about this, or daddy doesn't know about that, or, it could be as simple as a size difference, or just, like my girls, they tend to like to match together. So that makes it easy for me to say, oh, you like this, but then they'll have their days where they don't want to match, and depending on the style, it fits different. My little girl tends to be more of like tomboyish. She loves to wear her like overalls and all these different, like, she doesn't want to be pretty all the time. My middle child is my daughter, my oldest daughter. She's more like she likes to be like very fashionable and likes to wear all the different, very girly girl, and very like, you know, and not so much princessy either, but also just in that mode of like that's her style. And you know, and my son, well, of course, you know, my son, he has his own like, and a teenager at that, so he has his own ways of thinking and wanting to do things. So everybody goes, but you got to train them, give them the chance to be alone with a certain parent. And sometimes being together is great because you got both voices there, but they'll always gravitate to mom because mom has always, you know, been there in every crucial point in their life, which rightfully so. Even it could be this is forever. Like, this is like, I grew up with just my mom, so naturally I'm going to go to my mom, you know, for certain things, you know. My father wasn't in my life, so now we're starting to rebuild that. But at this point where my dad is right now, and his mindset and his way of living, he's not there really 100% for him to be the father that I needed years ago. So now I have to kind of, you know, recalibrate myself as a child and kind of know how to address my father to still be a father to me, but, you know, picking my battles. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, be unrealistic, you know, and that has to do with a lot of the exposure of not having a dad and having my mom super involved in my life even till today. You know, our phones will be blowing up and it'll be our moms and our parents, and they're always in our lives at all times. And the blessing of even having them close, you know, range as well is another thing. So, but balancing. And as I think about that, not just our children, but our parents and people, you know, give them the balance of not having you around all the time, giving them the balance of, you know, not always being the one that they have to call to solve their own problems. Because, you know, even as adults, we're going to have our own problems. And when you get older, and you don't have the kids at home anymore, and you may have some health issues or things, you know, there's always this go-to person, you know, that you got to go to. And that's great. That's beautiful because we're always available to our parents, right? Mm-hmm. But then there'll be those moments where, let's say if our parents have to move away, what happens there? You know, I can't just run to you and help you out. You know, and I mean, with technology nowadays, right? But you can zoom in or whatever, or FaceTime. But still, like, some of that dependency, we got to train our family to balance out and understand how it may mean you need to understand how Zoom works. It may mean you have to understand how to get on a computer and know how to do this, you know? And we do this to our kids all the time. Like, okay, you got to know how to like heat up something in a microwave. You got to know how to like, you know, all these things have to come into play where I'll tell my wife, like, listen, communication, leave them be, leave my son be, leave my daughter be to figure it out. You know, so that I remember at my age at 9 or even 7 or 8 or 9, I'm like jumping on the countertops and to like, you know, reach what I need to get and do it myself, you know, like that independency, you know, we have to give. And because we're always in their lives, they don't feel the need to have to figure it out, you know? So, yeah. So what's your thought on when it comes to Mozen? What does Mozen cover? Everything that we've been talking about, right? Like, how would you categorize Mozen as a ministry? Here's Mozen for moms and whatever all these things moms do. How do you categorize that? And how does this all play into this ministry?
So that's funny because Mozen began as a mommy, stay-at-home mom kind of get-together at Commitment, actually. And I was asked to lead this ministry, you know, to seek God and see where He leads me with it. And that's how it kind of began. It was just stay-at-home moms getting together, having a small Bible study. Then it kind of integrated into moms that are homeschooling. And we did activities like Mom's Night Out, just because normally moms don't get a night out. I said, okay, well, let me do this whole, you know, Mom's Night Out once a month kind of thing where they can come out. We do crafts or little things like that, just to have a good time, you know, fellowship and get to know each other and see that we're not alone in that mommy journey or homeschooler type journey or whatever, which was great. We did, it went very, very good for many years. And we even did an activity once a month for homeschooling children. And that was also cool because the kids learned. It was educational for the most part. You know, we kind of united with the Family Success Center at the time when they had a program for families or whatever, and that was even a blessing, and it was very good, a lot of fun, a lot of learning, and I think it's been continuously evolving, you know, to what it really is or what it really supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I remember back in the day when I received the whole vision of Mozen was more of a family ministry and a family learning how to balance life. You know, not just moms, but also dads, you know, because they also have the role of being a son, being, I mean, if you have siblings, a brother, a friend, a leader, a father, or a husband, you know, they, just like a mom, fathers also have, you know, the men also have all those roles. You know, so they're not exempt from it, you know. So I think seeing that, I think little by little, as I've been growing in the Mozen ministry and learning through these moments in the years that have passed, I think it's been, you know, growing to that whole family type thing now, you know, where Mozen is learning how to balance life, period, whether you're a female or a male, mother, father, husband, wife, you know, son, daughter, you know, whatever, the whole family ordeal is learning how to balance life in general, you know, with our children, with our responsibilities. And as life continues, as years keep going by, a lot of things change, you know. It gets a little more difficult to even all the new things in the world happening, you know, all the new things that want to come about for our children to learn that we might not agree with, or you know, all that, just learning more and building that relationship even together as a couple, as a husband and wife, in prayer, in the word, of knowing how to be led by God to lead our children and be the leaders that he wants us to be, to lead others as well in what's the final thing, which is salvation. You know, and I think it's been, you know, as we've been moving along, as we've been growing and learning throughout the years, it's been growing into what it's supposed to be, which is balancing everything all together. You know, and knowing how to speak, knowing how to act, knowing how to walk, even, you know, at times, just a generalization of balancing everything all together in what the will of God is in our lives.
I was trying to figure out a name. If there was like a Mozen mommy, I call her the Mozen mommy, and then I'm saying Mozen daddy, but that doesn't sound pretty Mozen daddy, so I say Mozen father. You know, it's a little bit better. I don't know why mommies can be called mommies and sound good, but daddies is a little bit different. Like, you know, daughters call us daddies, but you know the streets messed up that name a little bit. So it's just like, you know, okay, a Mozen father is a little bit more appropriate. Like, I can, you know, if there's an open door for that one day where it's a Mozen father ministry or something, because you're right, a lot of those roles can be taken up by a father. You got fathers that are single fathers, just like single moms are, you know, and that's just the way it is. It rolls both ways, you know, and fathers can also do the roles that moms could. There's just a special calling upon moms, and you know that God has a special place for, you know, the women that take on the role of a mother, that take on the role of, you know, leadership. There's a special calling there, because we are called as men to lead, right? But there are specific, you know, paths that only women can really do, you know, and have an impact on humanity, on children as leaders, you know, that God has ordained and made paths for women that way. So it's very important to know how to even balance that in a church. It's a blessing that where we are, you know, there is an open door for women to lead, you know, and be leaders and of great impact, without having the pressure of being like a lead in other ways over men or women or children that become kind of distorted or whatever because of the pressure that, you know, God has made men to have, you know, and we're made and wired that way. Versus, you know, having to expect, it's like no different than like if my kids, like my you know, Tuti, she's so much like my wife when it comes to, taking care of the family. She has that special, I will have to call it this special anointing over her life, that she is very attention to detail with everything, just like mom. She is very mothering to all of us, just like mom, but we got to be very careful and not letting her take the role officially as mom, even if mom is not home. Same with me, with my son. Even if I'm not home, yeah, he's my little man at home, and there's a natural tendency to want to use his strength, without thinking about his mental capacity, without thinking about his heart. Same with my daughter. So we have to be careful not to give them the full-blown responsibility that an adult, that has been through things and that has been called by God to do certain things. And that's the same in the church. The church has its roles that we all play, and we have to be careful to learn how to even balance that as well. So you mentioned having Mozen for moms in homeschool scenarios where you've had events where children will come out, they'll learn not just the arts and crafts, but just being together and understanding how to work together. We've had videos. If you haven't, if you don't know, you can look up Mozen Mom Ministry on YouTube, and there's a bunch of videos there that Evie has made that she with our kids, and I'll cameo from here and there to do family things, fun family crafting. She's had her moments on YouTube where she'll have words of encouragement, where it'll just be her and you on the video. She's had guests come in and talk and even share moments in life where we can all be enriched and understand how balancing life works. And that's all on YouTube. You could just search Mozen mommy, or Mozen. There's a lot of different things out there that are Mozen, but I usually find it quickly by saying Mozen Mommy Ministry, or Mozen Mommy, and it'll pop right up, and you'll see the logo that you see on the screen now, and you can see Evie do ministry on there as well, and really cool things from cooking to crafting to all kinds of stuff. Is really cool, really fun. But then the other part of Mozen, of course, is for women, specifically women that are probably single moms, that have to do life by themselves, don't know what to do. What do you do with what kind of situations or things that come from that kind of situation or scenario that you come in ministry, and what sort of things do you do for that, for moms that are by themselves, and and helping them out?
Well, we've had a couple moms that are single moms come through, or moms with husbands that work late at night. They can't really participate. A lot of times, I kind of tell them, bring your babies with you, kind of thing. They're a part of us, so yeah, you're right. It is what it is. We gotta still do life through everything, but at least our kids can work together, play together, while you still got that little breather, of being with someone else, talking, having a moment together. I've always been a person that have been open to even help in reference to babysitting, or doing different things like that. I'm always open and willing. So there's been times when I've been asked to help in that manner, and I do it, because I understand that life is hard. Everybody has their times, that they have to go through things or do things, and they might not have family members or people that can help them. And just being that helping hand there for any little thing, from babysitting to maybe finding resources that they might need with supplies or food or whatever. And I thank God for commitment, because we also have a food pantry and stuff like that here. So many times the resources will come out directly from the church when it comes to supplies like that. And even finding resources again, the Family Success Center that we had connections with before, other programs, things like that, that would help the families out.
That's really cool. Yeah, and it's very important to have that for many different reasons, So so there's that. There's, also Mozen as a standalone ministry, you know, which is a blessing because it can exist outside of the four walls of the church. Like she was saying, there's times where people just need help and they don't even come to the church. There's people that you might know, they're friends of yours from way back or something, and you know, they can reach out to you, and those are moments where you can use that as a witnessing opportunity for people that, you know, I know you have friends that still reach out to you, and they want to talk, and they just want to sit and talk, and
I mean,
you
even
know,
neighbors.
yeah, neighbors. It's like a call. You can really tell the calling on her life with this, because people do gravitate to coming to her, and don't get me wrong, like, you know, I protect her as a husband to my wife. I protect her from, you know, from always saying yes to people and always saying yes to situations, but she's also learned to do that too. That the power of the word no is very important too. You know, you can't forget how many movies have been like Yes Man and all these different movies that show you the power of yes, but how much trouble that can get you into if you don't have a realistic, grounded, firm foundation of also understanding that you can't be there for everybody. You're not their savior. Right. And at the end of the day, Jesus is really the guy that, you know, he's there. He's the guy that you need to, you know, find your answers. But it's refreshing to know that God will use you in moments where people just can't find God in their situations. And now they can knock at the neighbor's door and be like, hey, you know, I just got to talk to you. I'm going through this. You know, friends that'll come back, they're not even churchgoers, and they'll just be like, I don't need a Bible thumper right now. I need a friend. I need somebody who can listen to me. I need a friend that they can speak their mind and you not judge them for what comes out of their mouth, because they're not churchgoers. They're people that are just people. And I don't know how many times we think the same thing, you know? So, and it sucks not to have real grounded people to talk to, right? You got your people that they're, you know, just because you have a Christian ministry doesn't mean that everything has to be like, you know, sunshine roses and, you know, and Jesus is always smiles, but there's always times where, you know, biblically, even Jesus would turn people away for certain things because it's just not the time. It's just not the time. And there are other ways to getting your miracle than just having somebody be there and making a miracle for you. So it's very important. I love what God is doing through you with that, because, you know, there is a balance to that as well, you know, so it's very important. So
yeah, like I said earlier, like it's still a journey for me, you know, of learning and growing. Yeah. Because it's been a very long journey.
You're still going through it, right? Yeah.
I'm still going through it, but just even finding myself the time, you know, to seek that help, you know, whether it is through counseling or other leaders or whatever, and primarily, you know, prayer and God's word, because I have to continuously battle the flesh, you know, of not getting lazy, of not getting, because I'm human. There are times when I do get lazy. I don't want to get up early in the morning to pray. Or I don't want to, you know, take my time to read the Bible, or I get too busy in my mommy duties or whatever it is, what life throws at me, and it gets hard. But just knowing how to get back on that train and really flowing through that, and allowing God to help me grow and be better at it. Not perfect, because I will never be perfect. Right. And I do push myself, and I probably beat myself up a lot, because that's just the type of person I am, you know. But I've been learning through a lot of you know, help and good guidance to understand, you know, what my purpose is, and the times, like, you know, Nori was saying, the saying no versus yes all the time, you know, because saying yes all the time, you can hurt yourself through that, you know. You can hurt others through saying yes all the time, because everyone has to go through their own journey, you know. And I believe that that's why Mozen was picked, or I guess, you know, presented to me in that way, is that I have to learn balance. You know, I have to learn balance in everything, you know, as an individual. And that's pretty much what I do in the Mozen ministry, is also speak about that, learning balance in life. You know, I like realness. I'm all about being real, you know, all about saying where I come from, what I do, who I am, the times I've cussed my husband out. Listen, yes, absolutely. I did that many times before, and even realizing it and allowing myself to see, allowing God to show me where I stand before him in those things that were off for me, that were wrong, and growing out of it, not just getting angry and being like, oh well, kind of attitude, but actually working on myself to grow, to be a better person, a better leader, a better individual, a better, disciple, because that's the only way I will grow more, is by seeing where I stand before him. And allowing myself to change and work on myself, not just being this whole persona on camera, or like Nuri was saying in the beginning, one person in church, one person at home, one person with my friends from high school, one person with my family, another person with, if anybody can tell you, there's some people that do know me, like that have built relationships with me, and some people will say, oh, Evie crazy, y'all need to watch out for her, kind of thing. And I just laugh because, yeah, Evie is a crazy person, but I'm mindful of it. How far will that crazy person go? In a way, am I gonna allow the crazy part of me go off in what God's word says where I should be? Because that's the whole point of balancing life, internally, outwardly, and in every capacity that is there.
Yeah, you got to know how crazy. I can never do that with my guests because they're my guests. This is my wife, so I'm able to share a drink. That's as crazy as I go too. So don't worry, anybody who comes on the show I won't be drinking your drink. But I'm out of mine. But that's very important.